The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children with them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown.
New evidence has emerged about the Nephilim giants, and it's more unsettling than we thought. For many years, ancient writings described large beings that lived among humans. Recent discoveries from remote Pacific islands show these beings may not be just myths. The latest findings suggest that these giants might still be alive. What makes this news troubling is not just their size, but the lengths they went to survive and how they have stayed hidden for so long. Ancient footprints. The Solomon Islands' terrifying encounters. The Solomon Islands hold ancient secrets shared through stories. In 1568, Spanish explorer Álvaro de Mendaña de Neira arrived on these remote Pacific islands, searching for gold and riches for Spain. Instead, he found something unexpected. The locals spoke of true giants, beings over 10 feet tall, with long reddish hair and red eyes. The islanders believed these giants were real. They showed Mendaña stone footprints that were over 18 inches long, suggesting these giants weighed around 800 pounds or more, much heavier than humans. The islanders pointed to caves where the giants supposedly lived. They described tunnels under the ocean that connected the islands. Mendaña was alarmed by stories of cannibalism and headhunting. They told him that during certain phases of the moon, villages would be raided, and screams could be heard as victims disappeared into the night, chased by giants. The Spanish abandoned their quest for gold and left quickly. Some say they destroyed their maps to keep the island's location a secret. Sailors who spoke about their experiences back home mysteriously vanished, adding to the silence around the tale. However, the giant footprints remained, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover the truth. Centuries later, these footprints became the first strong clue in understanding the mystery of the Nephilim giants. Finding the footprints was just the start. The real progress happened when a modern expert decided to investigate the legends for himself. The engineer's discovery. In 1995, aircraft engineer Marius Boyon made a significant change in his life. After serving in the Royal Australian Air Force, he left Australia for the Solomon Islands. He didn't just visit, he immersed himself in the local culture. He married a local woman and became part of the community. He listened to their stories and learned from them. At first, he thought the stories about giants were just folklore, colorful tales people told around the fire. But as Boyon listened more, he realized these stories were not just myths. They were recent memories shared with the same certainty as everyday topics like the weather or fishing. The islanders spoke of beings 15 feet tall, with long skulls and hands capable of crushing a man's head. They mentioned the orang batin, the largest among them, whose footsteps shook the ground and whose voice echoed through the jungle. Sightings of these giants happened as recently as the 1980s, and their tracks around villages served as warnings. Boyon used his engineering skills to investigate. He collected statements, recorded interviews, and sketched the underground tunnels the giants supposedly used. He examined wall tool marks and analyzed the structural strength required for the tunnels connecting the islands. What he found in those dark passages was shocking. Human bones stacked neatly, some chewed by something much larger than any human. The islanders said this was where the giants took their prey to eat or keep. The way the bones were arranged suggested rituals and meanings associated with their hunts, showing that they were not mere mindless monsters. If these giants were real, Boyon wondered why no one else knew about them. His investigation suggested they had learned to stay hidden by using clever tactics. They avoided being seen by having watchful guards and organized responses to intruders, keeping their existence hidden even in plain sight. Global connections. Boyon's excavations in the Solomon Islands might have been little known locally, but similar stories came from faraway places and were too similar to ignore. Thousands of miles away in Nevada, the Paiute people tell tales of the Site Ka, red-haired giants who stood 12 feet tall and were known for eating humans. The similarities between these stories and those from the Solomon Islands are striking. The Paiutes share a long history of conflict with these giants, described with remarkable consistency. The giants were not just mindless creatures. They used weapons suited to their size, spoke a complex language, and organized hunts that scared tribes across vast areas. Their war songs mention red-haired demons and talk about careful strategies like night raids, ambushes from high ground, and showing the remains of victims to frighten survivors. Eventually, Allied tribes caught the last of these giants in Lovelock Cave. The battle lasted 3 brutal days, with the giants using the cave's layout to defend themselves, while the tribes shot arrows and set fires to stop their escape. They ended what they saw as the giant threat to North America. Excavations at Lovelock Cave support these stories, with findings such as 15-inch-long sandals, oversized skulls, and handprints on walls much larger than normal human hands, leading to debates about who or what created them. In Peru, the Gold Museum in Lima displays strange items, clothing, and preserved heads of Incan kings who were 10 feet tall, along with elongated skulls that do not match typical human anatomy. Peru does not hide this evidence. It shows it to the public. A common thread links these stories from different continents. Giants mentioned in cultures from Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas, described in similar ways. What stands out is their behavior, seeing humans not as rivals, but as a food source to hunt. These ancient stories help us understand this mystery. However, the mystery of the Nephilim giants becomes even more unsettling as modern witnesses come forward, claiming these beings might still exist today. Biblical and military evidence. The Bible contains some of the oldest accounts of giants, starting in Genesis and continuing through the Old and New Testaments. These stories are not vague myths. They are clear records of giant beings, their sizes, and their battles. They were vast and powerful beings who existed before and after the flood. The original Hebrew words show that they are different from regular humans. Many people know the story of David and Goliath, but Goliath was not alone. He was part of a group of Philistine giants who fought together. In 2 Samuel 21, it states that 4 giants from the same area participated in military actions. Goliath stood an enormous 9 feet 9 inches tall. His armor tells us about his strength. He wore a 30-pound bronze helmet that would need superhuman neck strength, 150 pounds of scale armor that could crush an average soldier, and a spear tip that weighed 30 pounds. After their fight, David had to use both hands to wield Goliath's massive sword. These details come from eyewitness accounts that show the fear of facing foes stronger than regular humans. Archaeological digs support these accounts from the Bible. Excavations in Philistine areas have found spear points and blade fragments that are larger than what ordinary soldiers would use, matching the Bible's descriptions. The giants are shown to be innovative and strategic. They formed alliances, created long-term plans, and integrated into armies while keeping their advantages. They were not just ancient stories. They were real threats that continued after the flood, clashing with civilizations in organized campaigns. In summary, the biblical stories show giants as real and organized forces. They were ongoing challenges faced by ancient people. Interestingly, World War II hinted that these beings might still exist. Military encounters and the underground network. Boyon's study of the Solomon Islands' underground networks has revealed features that, if accurate, could change how we view prehistoric engineering. These were not just natural caves modified for shelter. They seemed to be purposefully carved, like a hidden world intentionally built. Some passages appeared to be artificial. They had smooth walls and precise cuts, showing that skilled hands created them rather than nature alone. The main tunnels were tall enough for people to walk upright, about 12 feet high and 15 feet wide in some areas. Boyon suggested that they could accommodate larger beings or carry supplies, since tool marks indicated the use of blades sharper than those typical in the Stone or Bronze Ages, though no tools have been found to confirm this. Carbon dating of nearby organic materials showed that these modifications occurred over thousands of years, indicating long-term construction rather than a quick fix. Boyon even claimed that some tunnels extended underwater, connecting islands over 10 miles apart, which would require knowledge of water pressure and stability, though this is still unverified. Several chambers appeared to serve specific purposes, such as storage areas for preserved food scraps, suggesting either stockpiling or gradual accumulation. Boyon also identified what he believed were nurseries or breeding areas, including the remains of human females, raising questions about possible cross-species interactions, which mainstream archaeologists do not support, and alternative theories, such as ritual sites, have been proposed. Overall, Boyon painted a picture of an organized underground society that may have existed for centuries or even millennia. Fresh tool marks and signs of organic materials suggested that some areas were still in use, but this is hotly debated. Whether Boyon's theories are accurate or not, these tunnel systems continue to raise questions. What else is hidden beneath those islands, and what secrets do they still hold? The final truth. The mystery of the Nephilim giants remains unsolved, but researchers are beginning to understand more by examining ancient stories, sightings, and archaeological digs. These beings did not just disappear. They may have adapted or hidden themselves and could still be influencing our world in ways we don't fully see. When we look at all the evidence together, such as footprints, oral histories, and ancient texts, it seems these giants once lived among us. Artifacts such as giant tools, bones, and large underground structures suggest that their presence lasted longer than what we learn from traditional history. What really unsettles people is not just the possibility that giants existed, but also the idea of how intelligent and organized they might have been. For instance, the tunnels in the Solomon Islands appear to be well-planned hideouts for survival, communication, and possibly even monitoring the world above. If this is true, it challenges our view of ancient societies as merely strong, but not well coordinated. Some accounts even suggest that these giants attempted to breed or mix with humans, raising questions about whether they are still trying to integrate into our society. The strange similarities in stories from places like the Solomon Islands, Nevada, and Peru, told by cultures that never met, make some experts think there could be a global link among these giant groups. Recently, there have been more sightings, leading some to believe this may indicate a slow return of these beings. Are these just isolated events, or do they point to something bigger? We don't know yet. Instead of giving clear answers, this evidence raises more questions. Are we seeing remnants of a lost civilization, or a hidden group that has survived? Or are these just a mix of myths and discoveries? If these beings are still out there, what role could they play in our future? What worries you most about this evidence? Should governments reveal what they know about this topic, or does keeping it a secret help protect us from something worse? Share your thoughts below.